and recipes broadcast here on both Blog Talk Radio, but also YouTube Live. All is truly and indeed a blessing. And let me say, please, if you're on the radio, press the number one on your telephone keypad. This will allow me to unmute your mic and bring you into the conversation. Those of you who are with me here online with YouTube Live, please do type your questions, comments, and requests in the chat in all capital letters. This will allow me to see it clearly and be able to respond to you right here on air. Um, as usual, we had technical difficulties with the YouTube. I'm bored with even talking about it. I'm bored with even complaining about it. But let me tell you what happened today, keeping in line with our theory that there's a conscious mind behind the technical glitches. When I got up earlier today to get into my Blog Talk Radio and prepare the platform, I didn't have no YouTube at all. I had no YouTube page. I had no YouTube studio. None of the above. It was like my account was gone. I immediately ferried several messages to YouTube, and they got it together, and they got it together relatively quickly. Of course, when it came time to broadcast, I couldn't get the broadcast going on either the desktop or my mobile device. So I've started the show in Blog Talk Radio, and I'm grateful for those of you who who call into Blog Talk Radio every day in a timely manner. You heard my introduction, and I most certainly am grateful for you. But if there's anyone under the sound of my voice with technical abilities and skills who can help us to kind of figure out some other avenues to address the technical glitches that we're experiencing here with the live broadcast, please reach out to me by way of my website at www.houseofthedivineprince.com, and also by way of email at DivinePrince at houseofthedivineprince.com. And curious enough, I got a phishing email as well this morning with someone trying to pretend to be GoDaddy. So I'm happy that you are worked up. I am happy that you are trying to keep me off air because it means I'm doing something and I'm saying something and I'm reaching people. And there are clearly minds that don't want this to happen, that don't want this show to continue on another 12 years, that don't want me to be present for you here. Uh, seven of gentlemen, thank you for your comment. And I did consider that everything is wonky right now, considering what's going on in the world, what's going on with technology. And as we discussed on yesterday, of course, there are those always behind the scenes. Greetings, thy Marcus Art. There's always those behind the scenes that want to disrupt, interrupt, create mischief, if not outright cheat you, defraud you as it relates to any calamity, any tragedy, and any seasonal storm. So I did think about that, and also the decrease in staffing. Greetings, Miss Shay. Thank you so much for being present with us. I did think about that in terms of staffing. As you've heard me say, a great deal of Google's employees actually don't exist in the U.S. They're in other countries, like the Philippines. And so I did consider, and I always do consider that as well when I consider some of the technical glitches that we experience on these platforms. But some of you have been with me since Yahoo 360 days. Some of you have been with me since Blog Talk Radio, 2006. We've seen these patterns. We've seen them come and go. We've seen them target particular platforms, particular voices, particular podcasts. So I reserve and keep my options open in terms of what might really be going on. And again, I welcome any qualified technician, skilled individual who might be able to assist me in figuring out what's happening to reach out to me by way of email. I also invite you to reach out to me by way of email, DivinePrince, DivinePrince, at houseofthedivineprince.com in terms of readings and services. Um, I'm not going to say I'm overwhelmed, but man, I'm busy. I'm full. People are absolutely taking advantage of this quote unquote global downtime to research, to study, to get deeper into spirit, to get deeper in addressing homework. Homework that we've all delayed, homework that we've all put off because life was too busy. And, I keep saying, this global thing that we're in, I realize that, this is still a relative reality for many people. Some of us are locked down. Some of us are under stay at home. There are other parts of the world where you're still not getting this message. You're still not recognizing what's happening. And I heard some people on the TV earlier today suggest that, areas where the infection is low or has not shown up yet may not necessarily need to take the precautions and stay at home that other states and other cities are doing. And that's just foolish. It's just foolish. So be careful, be still, be peaceful, be patient. Just be right now. There's no real reason, there's no real purpose for anything other than to just be right now. Be hopeful, be patient, be creative, be calm, be kind, be well, be healthy by all means, be safe, be happy, be patient, be loved, be careful, be proactive, be available, be peace, and by all means, stay at home. Stay at home. It's not worth it. There's nothing that you absolutely have to have that requires you to go out right now. So just don't. So just don't. If it's an urgency, if it's an emergency, that's something else. If you're an essential employee, that's something else. But there's no reason to go out and expose yourselves to what's happening right now, um, germologically, bacterially, in the world. I am going to survive this. I will be around to see the next day. I will be around to see the world after this state. And I pray that you do the same. I pray that you do the same. I pray that you hope for the same. I pray that you work for the same. I pray that you be proactive for the same. So bleach, sanitize, clean. Bleach, sanitize, clean. And I'm certainly grateful for those of you who are with us here in this platform, Blog Talk Radio, as well as my YouTube Live. Kiona, I don't see you active. So if there's something going on there, let me know. The chat seems to be a little quiet right now. I do invite you to type your questions, comments, and requests in all capital letters. Oh, wow. Let me tell you, something amazing happened, happened to me today. I was handling my work, busy on my desktop, and I got an ad, a friend ad, on Twitter. And the friend ad was from the author, the writer, the producer, the singer of our opening theme song. I can't tell you how pleased I was. Diane Cameron Elam added me on Twitter earlier today, and I was eternally grateful for her presence. I invite you to follow her as well. Follow me as well at twitter.com/the Divine Prince. Twitter.com/the Divine Prince. I often say in my inner circle that Twitter is underrated. Facebook, even though many of us are on Facebook, is a younger platform. there's a great deal more mature conversation taking place on Twitter. I also find that your celebrities, your politicians, tend to be much more open and friendlier and accessible and reachable by way of Twitter. For the most part, there are those who still don't like to communicate, but there are many more hip hop artists, entertainers, writers, mayors of big cities that absolutely interact with people on Twitter. My Twitter is the Divine Prince, and of course, Divine is spelled Divine, and of course, Prince Prince, the Divine Prince. And so I invite you, as I did yesterday, if you don't have anything to do right now, or you need something extra to do right now, catch up in your social media, update your profiles, make sure you got updated information in your profiles, add a few more networks that maybe you haven't added before. LinkedIn is also a quickly rising and popular social media site. LinkedIn sells itself as a career site, as a Kiona, that's not right. My Twitter is the Divine Prince, the Divine Prince, the Divine Prince, and that's important because there are people attempting to come from my brand. There are people attempting to come from my name. So that's important. There are many perpetrators out there using Divine Prince. So I already typed it in the chat. I don't know if it's just not showing up on your end yet, but that's at the Divine Prince. Yes, all is truly and indeed a blessing. Um, LinkedIn is also another site that's quickly becoming more and more popular. More and more people are using LinkedIn, and it does offer career options and business options and more professional options than social media typically offers in, let's say, your Facebook. Um, but it's all there. People share music. People share their ideals. Uh, People share their artistry and their creativity in LinkedIn almost as much as they do in Facebook. The algorithms just don't uh, bring it up as often or put it right in your face as often, and you have to sort of look and observe and pay attention to whomever you're communicating with, if not following as it relates to LinkedIn. I use Tumblr, I use Blogger, of course, I use YouTube. Not just YouTube video, but the community page in your YouTube. There's a community page in your blog, in your YouTube tab that's similar to a Blog Talk Radio or a Facebook or Twitter, where you can leave posts, daily blog posts, video posts, audio posts, written posts, but you can also communicate, reach out to your community. And I'm not sure where exactly YouTube is promoting that, marketing that. I find that there's some activity there that does not necessarily show up in other arenas of the YouTube platform. So I'm not exactly sure where they are advertising and marketing and promoting, but I know where we are. People within our community, people within our culture, people who follow our tradition, um, and these are the sites that we're utilizing today. I welcome each and every one of you. My chat seems to be slow on my desktop, so please forgive me if I'm missing any questions, comments, requests that might be in the chat. Give me a second to get caught up here. Keon, I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see. Chris King, 81, greetings. Thank you so much for returning and being an active part of the show. I certainly do appreciate you. Marsha James, thank you so much for coming in and being a part of the show, an active part of the show. I most certainly do appreciate your questions, comments, and requests. Greetings, London, England. Marsha, thank you so much, UK, for listening and being a present I check my Blog Talk Radio map almost every day. There's a map associated with the Blog Talk Radio platform. And that's one of the reasons why I like Blog Talk Radio and I hold on to Blog Talk Radio, um, in spite of, the technical issues that I've had with it. And I've fallen out of love and favor with it numerous times over the years. But one of the things that I like about that Blog Talk Radio platform is the ability to see, not individually where you are, but more collectively where my listening audience is viewing from, is listening from. So I send out greetings and salutations to the UK. I send out greetings and salutations to Australia and Canada. I send out greetings and salutations to Argentina, Brazil, Peru. I send out greetings and salutations to the Dominican Republic, Nigeria, Cameroon, South Africa, Zimbabwe, Malawi, Kenya, Egypt, Saudi Arabia, Yemen, Turkey. These are real places, by the way, and I'll screenshot um, a picture of my map as I do every now and then, and I'll post it in social media so that you can see all the places around the world, including China, where this show is listened from, viewed from. And so I certainly do appreciate you and appreciate your questions and your comments and those of you who participate. I do pay attention. So thank you so much for that and for representing for London and for the UK. If you have questions, comments, or requests, do type them in all capital letters in the YouTube chat, and I will be more than happy to answer and respond. You can also call me now at area code 425-292. I'm sorry, that's my number. 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. Do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. You can listen, but you can also press the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and this will give me the ability to see you and open your mic and then bring you into the conversation. I certainly do appreciate you. Hi, Tasha. Tasha Love. Taste with Tasha. Thank you so much for being present and checking in with us as well. You hear me say, I am because my creators are. All powerful, open, and receptive to all that operates in my good. You hear me say that. It's not just a mantra. It's not just something that I say, but it's something that I stand on. It's something that I believe. It's something that is a part of my being and my waking reality. Our ancestors are standing up with us and for us right now, and particularly right now in this present moment in time space. And as we should do, acknowledge our ancestors in all things. Acknowledge your ancestors every day. Acknowledge your ancestors in the good weather and the bad. Acknowledge your ancestors in the blessed season, as well as when things are not going great. But we also stand up in the powers of iron, the powers that create and build foundation. We stand up in the powers that produce our crops, that produce fruitfulness, not just in our food and our vegetation, but also in our lives, uh, uh, figuratively, but also literally. We acknowledge the powers that do literally produce our herbs and what we call Ewe or Ewe in Yoruba, Ewe, Ewe. Our herbs, our healing roots, our healing plants, our healing vegetation, our healing herbs and minerals and vitamins that exist in nature. You've heard me say, without nature, there's no voodoo. Without nature, there's no voodoo. Nature and voodoo go hand in hand. So I implore you, I invite you at this time to get in your garden, to maintain your distance, but to explore your parks where they are available, your natural areas where they are available, but avoid human contact right now. Don't violate the laws and the protocols of your area, of your city, of your region, of your state. Some of you, state of Mississippi, I would suggest that you take this a little bit more seriously, and you might need to be more proactive than your governor. You might need to be more proactive than your government officials. But get in touch with nature. This is the time to learn our plants, learn our herbs. Be clear about what we have. Check your cabinets. Check your product that might be dry, that might be old. And then, of course, plan anew. Plan anew. Many of our retail establishments are making adjustments for the season. And so things can be ordered in the mail, things can be often delivered. Some locations are still open. I have not checked in yet with my local gardening centers, or any of the gardening centers that my godchildren and clientele work with, but I'm going to do that at some point today. And so tomorrow I'll be able to give you a more educated response about the availability of ordering your plants without leaving your house, or the businesses that might be delivering. And of course, check in your area. My favorite source here locally is Urban Roots. Urban Roots used to have a location on Canal Street, right across from UMC Medical. They have a home base on Shopatulis, as far as I know, as long as nothing has changed. So I invite you to study your plants, your herbs, your roots, your vegetables, your produce. Be clear about what they are and how to use them, and how we utilize them to do healing work, spiritual work within the traditions of ATR. There's a book out. I thought I had it close to me on hand. Oh, yeah, I do. This book is called Ewe Osanyan. Ewe Osanyan. And this book has, by Baba Jaha, this book has many common herbs, plants that we utilize in Ifa, Fa, in terms of Ewe. And they have it in pictures where you can see and clearly identify your plants. And then they also have it written in text in English, Spanish, and Yoruba. The scientific English name in Spanish and in Yoruba, and it's called Ewe Osanyan. And again, this is about nature. This is about the relationship between Fa, Ifa, and nature. This is about the relationship between voodoo and nature. And we don't just harvest plants when we might be sick or ill, or not quite in balance, but we also harvest plants for general cleansing, general regular usage in the tradition, in our rituals, in the temple. There's plants that I smudge, there are plants that I burn regularly, there are plants that I take, whether it be in my coffee or in my food regularly. But there are also plants that we use in every aspect of the tradition, in our ritual work, in our divination work, in our prayer work. And so I invite you to take this time to order your books, study your books, read your books. Some of this information in these books can be found virtually online, and people are allowing you access to. And then others you might have to buy, you might have to order, and you might have to have delivered. Yes, Ewe Osanyan by Baba Jaha, and he spells his name, Kiona, Jaha, by Baba Jaha. I have a caller coming in from area code 504, local New Orleanian. Who's calling? Peace and blessings. 504.
Is it me?
Yes, that's
Is
you.
it me, sir?
Yes, it is.
Hey, how you doing?
All is
My
a
name
blessing.
is Jordan. From Jacksonville, Florida, and I recently moved back to Jacksonville, Florida. But the last 6 months I've lived in New Orleans.
Greetings. Thank you for calling in and being a part of the show. What's your question or comment today?
I just wanted to say, I appreciate how you take the time out of uh, your weeks to educate, and it's not always more or less where the goods coming from, but who's getting it. And I'm saying that to say, when you're making these videos, you don't necessarily know who's on the other end,
Mm-hmm.
but with what is being said, it definitely leaves individuals with a lot that they can use to interpret what is your truth and their truth.
I certainly appreciate that. And I needed to hear that today. I certainly appreciate that. There are times when I question what I'm doing. And I like how you noted the amount of time. Just imagine doing a 2.5 hour show, such as what I did yesterday, actually takes more like 4 or 5 hours out of my day. I'm spending at least 2 hours before the show just getting ready to go into the show. And then my phone often doesn't stop ringing until 4 or 5 U.S. Central Standard Time after we've gotten off the air. So it is quite a bit. Research, the time that I spend, in the wee hours of the morning, sometimes researching a topic, looking up a topic, getting newer information about a topic. And it is overwhelming. And I question, my mama questions, sometimes my peers question why I do what I do and the amount of time and energy that it takes to do it. Along with doing the show, many of you know I'm a masking New Orleans Black Carnival Indian, Egoon masquerade, if you will. And so that is also very time consuming, very labor intensive. And again, people ask, why do you do that? Why do you put your body under that kind of stress? Why do you put your finances under that kind of stress? And it's so that those people that you just described who might not call in, who might not have a name or face attached to them, hear the message, receive the message, and that seed is planted and then grows. I often ask that people not take my word for it, but do your homework, do your research, find out to what degree what I say and the truths in what I say applies to you. And so that's why I do what I do. And I appreciate you calling in with that. I most certainly do. Be safe.
Yes, sir.
Be safe.
Thank you so much.
Please
And
don't call.
another thing,
Please don't call me sir.
as far as like when you speak about libations, libations truly work. To invoke whatever energy you're trying to call on. They work. That's what I can say.
Absolutely. Absolutely, they work. I told a story yesterday about my early years in New Orleans and being homeless and not having housing and needing assistance from the spirit realm and visiting not only Marie Laveau, but the cemetery every day and bringing coffee and beignet and pouring libations, water, rum, coffee. Libation takes on many forms and formulas, and how powerful an activity that was. And it's not something, that I do out of faith or out of belief. It's something that I do because it's shown to be effective. It's shown to work. It's shown to be reliable, not just for myself, but for others. So I appreciate you, caller, absolutely, for calling in and for your comments that you shared with us today.
Thank you. Are you?
Beloved, ask your question again.
Hello?
Ask your
Are you
question.
familiar with Bobby Hemmett?
Yes, absolutely. Bobby Hammond and I, um,
Oh,
he's a part of that network of people that I sometimes refer to when I talk about Yahoo 360, that old social media network that's now gone, Yahoo 360. So that takes me back to the early 2000s, leading up to and right at Hurricane
okay.
Katrina. And so, yeah, he was out. I would say he was probably new in terms of the internet back then. So he's been out a while. There were many others who were out then, and some of them are no longer, broadcasting or as relevant. Um, May he rest in a room. It's my understanding Bobby Hemmett passed away. Um,
I'm sorry to hear that. Rest in peace,
I'm going
Bobby.
to say maybe 3 years ago. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong about that. But I want to say he passed away.
I don't speak on it. But I
Yeah.
know he said that everything has an electromagnetic force field around it. So he didn't directly correlate it to libations. He was speaking about how the African can take an object and study it versus having to dissect it
Mm-hmm.
to
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
understand it.
Mm-hmm.
But my correlation was with understanding everything has an electromagnetic force field.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you leave offerings or pour libations, you're manipulating that electromagnetic force field, and in turn, it manipulates yours. You know, every action has a reaction.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's kind of a little general science behind it.
That's right. That's right. And I don't know
But
if this your first time listening to me or if you, listened to much of my other shows and platforms, but I talk a lot about quartz crystal, minerals, precious gemstones, which also help to store, carry, transmit, project, not just that form of energy, but piezoid, electromagnetic energy, light energy, and many other forms of energy that are not as prevalent in school or in study, or even in conversation. So that's an absolute important point that you just brought up. I think it's also important to note, along with your comment, our ability to control that with our mind, to turn that off and to turn that on, to block that, but also to open ourselves up to that just by the power of our mind and our thought and our consciousness. Fear creates block, but also an unwillingness to be open can also set up blocks that prevent us from not only accessing these forms of energy, but also the knowledge that comes with it, that supports it. Am I making sense?
okay, yeah, yeah.
So thank you so much for your call. I invite others to call me now at 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. Caller, I will come back to you momentarily if you have another question or comment that you want to share in the show. I invite my listeners to press the number one on your telephone keypad, and I'll open your mic and also entertain your questions and comments and bring you into the conversation. Kiona, Taste with Tasha, Kayla, somebody, um, look that up for me right now. I'm almost sure that I read somewhere that he had passed. And if I'm incorrect, I apologize, Brother Hemmett. But I'm almost certain that I saw that somewhere. Yeah, that's what I thought, Kiona. Yeah, that's what I thought. I just can't remember exactly the date, but I knew he had passed away. I remember sharing condolences with the family. I remember it being sort of circulated online. So, you know, we got to be grateful for the technology. That there are many powerful voices. Queenie Farmer, for instance, passed away also 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago. was a powerful voice in our circle on social media. And so the ability to store our thoughts and our messages and our study and our research and our questions. Queenie Farmer was a big proponent of questioning, and she questioned out loud. She questioned in her podcast. She questioned live on air. She wasn't sort of on the attack like many of the voices were during that time period 2003, 4, 2005, 2006. A lot of these platforms, podcasts were about attack, were about going after people, that sort of energy. And what stood out with the Truth Terrorist, that was her tagline, the Truth Terrorist, Queen Ifama, was that she questioned. Tasha was also a good friend of Queen Ifama, so she can speak to, if she wishes, to what I'm talking about. But she would question out on air, and she would motivate you and provoke you to also question, whatever it was. And so the ability for us to leave our thoughts and our ideas and our questioning in this format for people after us to hear, for people after us to listen and digest. In the earlier days of this season, I implored you to write. If you aren't already journaling, if you aren't already writing, this is the time to write. Spirit is pouring out on all flesh. Spirit is speaking to all flesh. Now, Spirit is not doing it through divination necessarily. Spirit is doing it through your dreams, through your visions, through your thoughts right now, through your energy. And so many of you are going to be quite successful in a year, in 2 years, because you acknowledge that flow of energy that's passing through you right now. And so you're bringing it out of the spirit realm and bringing it into the physical realm, and you are writing, you are producing. I also implore you to write, and to write right now. Also, because we want to document our experience, what's happening to you, to your mom and them, to your friends and family in your community. There's some communities that I look at right now virtually and interact with virtually, and it's almost like nothing's going on there. It's almost like they have no knowledge of this virus at all there. Even though every state in the union has cases, and I believe almost every state in the union is now experiencing at least one death, if not more, from this. So please write, please document, be creative, be proactive in this time. Distract yourself from worry and from fear by being creative, by being proactive. Distract yourself from worry and fear by being spiritual, but by going in right now when we have that time. Yes, she researched anything and everything Tasha loved. And that's what I loved about her. And I would call Queen Ifama, and she was always available to talk. And we would talk for hours sometimes, just about God or spirit or religion or politics or racism or homophobia and homosexuality. And, we would talk about any and everything, much like she would on her show. So I absolutely miss Queen Ifama. I really do. Chris King, you've noticed that you're becoming forgetful and not remembering certain things lately in this time. Um, is 81, is that your birth year? Is 81 your birth year? As a professional expert spiritualist, I always have to cover health, biology first. By law, we are not allowed to do that. I don't have a doctor's degree, I don't have a nursing degree, etc. So I always have to ask first, make sure it's not something hormonal, it's not something chemical, it's not something biological, it's not something physical. I know you can't physically see your healthcare professional, but maybe by chat, maybe by Skype, maybe by phone. Now that I've gotten my legal notification out there, the second thing might be distraction from within the spirit realm. You might be overwhelmed right now with energy. And I talked yesterday about empaths being overwhelmed right now with energy. Other people's feelings, other people's emotions, other people's projections, the projections that are coming through the TV, through the radio, through the computer, through your neighbors that are concerned, through your family members that are concerned. And we can internalize these projections through our ears, through our eyes, literally through our auric field, if you will. And so you could just be overloaded. You could just be overwhelmed. Okay, so you're even younger. You were born in 94, so we know it's not Alzheimer's or old timers, nothing like that. So, yes, it could absolutely be a spiritual condition. If you have, I would suggest lapis lazuli. For those of you who don't know the story, um, your ancient Egyptians used lapis lazuli in their crowns. They lined the inside of their crowns with lapis lazuli. And this allowed them to think with their left brain, their projective brain, rational, reasonable, logical, administrative, and then apply that to their service, to their role. So I strongly suggest lapis lazuli, sodalite, sodalite. I don't have a piece of sodalite near me. Sodalite looks a lot like this. Lapis lazuli is distinguished by the royal blueness and then the speckled gold that you'll find in it. Your sodalite is going to have more white in it, clouds in it, if you will. Another stone, Chris King, that I would strongly suggest for you is labradorite. Labradorite. And in a word, labradorite is magic. Magic. This stone not only helps to foster logic, reason, math, science, practicality, reasonability by way of that blue mineral, but also it has specks of gold and other colors and yellow and red and fire and light travels through labradorite in a way that also fuels magic, right brain activity, intuition, magic, our ability to see beyond the veils, our ability to not only see with our third eye, but then utilize that energy, that imagery at a higher octave level, at a spirit level. When I say seeing beyond the veils, that's what I mean. So it's not just about seeing, but then being clear about what it is that you're seeing, being clear about what it is that needs to be interpreted, that needs to be addressed. Tasha's familiar with many of these stones because she sets many of these stones in her jewelry. But I like to talk about them from that healing, metaphysical, quantum metaphysical, light-oriented perspective. And so these can help you to sort of process that energy. In terms of the quartz family, Chris, you want to look at clusters, for instance. This double terminator has a family of double terminated, a cluster, a family cluster of double terminators on it. Apophyllite, which is not quartz, but a whole nother mineral altogether, forms in clusters, forms in groups. And those points help you to address more than one person or theme simultaneously at a time. Of course, amethyst. Amethyst is another popular, powerful, inexpensive cluster. The more purple you can get, the more expensive your amethyst is going to be. The more purple you can get, the better in terms of what we're addressing right now, Chris. And that is consciousness. Consciousness. Chris King, in Yoruba, we would call that Ori, Ori, O-R-I. In Haitian voodoo, Louisiana voodoo, we often apply lave tet and other rituals associated with lave tet. Lave, to wash, to cleanse. Tet, meaning your head. And of course, for my more advanced listeners and students, your spheres, your clear quartz spheres, your black obsidian spheres, your tiger eye spheres. And these are powerful tools for focus, for concentration, for seeing into and seeing beyond the veils for longer periods of time. Now, it's strongly suggested that you don't scry. The official term is scry. I believe that's spelled SCRY or SCRYING, scrying, to look into a crystal or a glass or a vessel of water in order to transcend dimensional space, in order to transcend consciousness, and then see imagery, and then see vision. The imagery is not in the crystal itself, it's not in the crystal, but the crystal helps to open, to activate the third eye, and then allow you to mirror and see that imagery on the lake. A natural form of scrying for me is going to the lake, going to the river, and doing the same process, but in the water, looking at and looking into the water. It can also be done on dark surfaces, black obsidian mirrors, dark mirrors that can be made and manufactured. Sometimes they're referred to as magic mirrors that allow you to transcend mental, conscious, dimensional space. Because understand, your spirit transcends space first. Before your body is able to teleport, your mind first has to. Your inner world first has to. Your inner eye first has to be able to see beyond the veils before you can reach some level of magic where you're talking about teleporting and time traveling and geographically traveling to other locations and other time points in history, exploring your past lives, etc. And of course, you would have to be highly adept at these practices before you would start trying to do them on others. And yes, I'm still responding back to that question. You asked me yesterday that messy question, Kayla, about people trying to sell services, offer services for money when they're still students themselves, when they're still learning themselves, when they're still really young, literally and figuratively themselves within these practices and these traditions. Thank you so much, Kiona, for the population count. I like that in you, girlfriend. Thank you all for being present, for watching, for listening on both Blog Talk Radio, but also in my YouTube Live. If you have a question, comment, or request, as Kiona has done, press the number 1 on your telephone keypad, and I'll open your mic and bring you into the conversation. Kiona, you're open. Welcome, beloved.
Hey, how are you?
All is truly and indeed a blessing.
I am feeling a need. The spirit is drawing me to do a womb detox. And
Wow.
I'm feeling so, yes, because it's just, I realize that as women, we carry everything there.
I think that's real interesting. I want to say first that there's some synchronicity at work. I've gotten at least 3 requests that have womb or vagina in it in the last 48 hours. So I think that's very
Mm-hmm.
interesting. I also have been in touch with spirit, of course, as it relates to the baby boom that's coming. Y'all know there's a baby boom coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some of y'all,
Corona baby.
yeah, some of y'all are married. Some of y'all, are living together or shacking up, however you want to call it. And you have nothing else to do right now but to love, be loved, to love on. You're not going out. You're not exposing yourself to the virus, to the public, and so there is going to be a baby boom. We are going to see an increase in babies in December going into 2021. So I think there's something to that. I also think there's something to it um, figuratively as it relates to what we are birthing in the world, what we are bringing into the world. And so, right now, as we're being made to stop, to be still, to wait, to be quiet, to listen, we can also compare that to a incubation period, a bit of a pregnancy, and so everything is pregnant right now with energy. Your children are bouncing off the walls because they want to go out, they want to be active, they want to play on the playground, which you can't do that either, by the way. Don't let your kids play on the playground. Don't let your kids touch this equipment. There's nobody out at the park spraying down park equipment, your jungle gyms and your sliding boards. So don't do that. Don't do that. But the space, the air is pregnant right now, beloved, with energy, with activity, with that which will be born from this, that which will come out of this. So another symbolic way of viewing this is a spiritual pregnancy. And so we're all sitting, gestating, hopefully eating well, eating healthily, getting plenty of rest. Some of you work normally work, and don't get any rest. I'm one of those people. Typically, I get by on 3 to 4 hours sleep. Typically, I've had my first week of getting 8 hours rest, 9 hours of rest since this calamity took place. And so resting, sleeping is good for your memory. Chris King, sleeping is good for your memory. Getting some rest, but don't oversleep. Make sure you maintain a schedule. Make sure you get up every day at a consistent time, at a regular time, as you would be if you were still working. And then allow spirit to flow through you. Um, I'm taking a lot of cleansing baths, spiritual baths, but that's what I normally do because of the level of work that I do. But now I'm doing it not just for the work and for my exposure to my client energy, but also now for just myself. I'm catching up on cleansing baths, spiritual baths, cleansing the house, getting the whole house in order. Some of my inner circle knows what that looks like. The inner house is in order, beloved. I have nothing else to do right now but to move things around, clean things off, look behind things, look under things. And so we're being asked to do this literally and figuratively. And so looking within, looking at our health, looking at your womb health, but also your physical health. My AC1 right now is better than it's been in forever. So you diabetics, don't sit at home and gorge on sugar and fat and carbohydrates. Be healthy. This is an opportunity right now to truly, truly be healthy. Beloved Kiona, I'm going to come back to you in a moment here. I'm going to open one of my lines. Area code.
Go ahead. I'm just here to support. Go ahead.
Area code 510. Who's calling and where are you calling from?
Oakland, California.
Yes, who's calling?
Tamika.
Hey, how are you, beloved?
Good.
What's your question or comment for me
How
today?
you doing?
All is a blessing. I'm clean. I'm happy. I'm healthy. All is a blessing.
Oh, good. Yeah, I had a question on the cleansing thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what do you use for your bath?
For my spiritual baths. Now, it depends on what I'm doing specifically. But in terms of your question, I'm gonna try to keep it basic. I'm gonna try and keep it general. Okay, so I have a general cleansing bath. So this is something I'm gonna do every day, whether I have a problem or not, whether anything is complications going on or not. And I use just a little bit of almond oil. A good substitute for that is Dr. Bonner, who creates the peppermint soap. They also have an almond variety. So that's another way to get your almond oil. And then I add rosemary, which grows prolifically in my yard. Anybody who wants some rosemary, just let me know. I'll lay some out on the stoop, and if you're local, and you can come and get it. I have so much rosemary. I also suggest mint, and mint comes in several varieties: chocolate mint, peppermint, spearmint. If you didn't know, rosemary is also in the mint family. Sage. I strongly suggest people growing sage rather than buying the white sage wrapped up at your store. We're killing white sage in the natural by doing so. And it's too easy to grow your own sage, your own white sage, your own purple sage, your own pineapple sage. Yes, sage also comes in other flavors, other varieties. And so I'll mix some of that also in the bath. And I also like
Okay.
Thai basil in particular, and particularly the flower of the Thai basil. So if you're growing your own basil, just like a marijuana plant, you get that bud at the top, and that's where the flower is, and that's the part that I like to use in my general tonic spiritual cleansing bath. One of my tricks is I put it in a blender. Um, I've got one of those new mixed tumbler mixes. I can't remember what you call it right now, which one I have in particular, but it has the cup, and you screw the top on, and then you attach it upside down, and it blends up your herbs. And I'll powder them down, and then put them in some sort of a metal tea bag, those permanent metal tea bags, or you can wrap them in a pair of pantyhose and put a knot in it, because you really don't want all your herbs and the seeds and those Thai basil flowers, for instance, all of that getting in your plumbing. You can plug up your tub by doing that. So if you don't have the best, most up to date catcher, then you need to wrap your herbs up, wrap your mix up, and then I'll put about a tablespoon of ammonia in that, and I'll bathe in that as my regular,
Okay.
you know, general everyday cleanse. And then I can get
And
more.
I had another question too.
Sure.
I want to know, how do you clear energy that is around you that you don't recognize?
Around you, around your space,
Yeah,
it's a
yeah.
combination of the two. Um, Ammonia, you can get the sudsy lemon ammonia. Put a little bit of
Okay.
holy oil or anointing oil in it, and add a little bit of ground High John the Conqueror root in it, and a little bit of cinnamon powder in it, and wash your
Okay.
house down from the back to the front. If you're sweeping, from the back to the
Oh,
front. If you're vacuuming, from the back to the front. If you're going through your house wiping things down, from the back to the front. If you have a front door, open it. If you have front windows, open it. If you have back door, back
okay.
windows.
What if the energy is kind of attached to you, no matter where you go?
Okay, you want to be sure that it's not in your environment, so you would apply what I just utilized. But then for yourself, it could be a number of things. It could be the taking your cleansing baths, but also eating right, making sure you're getting uh, good clean water enough, and then what talismans you might be working with or wearing. I'm finding that people who are wearing dark stones too much are holding on to energy. So if you're wearing tourmaline, onyx, don't do that. Don't do that. Some of you are wearing them, at your fourth chakra or higher. Black obsidian, black tourmaline, onyx does not belong above your fourth chakra. People are wearing them
Okay.
in earrings, in jewelry, because some jewelry makers are not like Tasha. They don't know the stones that they're working with. They don't care about how, that energy shows up. So I wouldn't even buy dark stones to wear around your head like that. So that could be keeping this energy attached to you. It also could be a message from your ancestors that is trying to get you to see something, to show you something, to convey
Hmm.
something to you, and you are not hearing, not seeing, or maybe in denial. And so sometimes I describe
Yeah.
that as you're attempting to cross the road and your ancestors see that 18 wheeler coming. They're going to push you down. And you're not going to like the when you hit the ground. You're not going to like that bump on the curb. But when you look up and realize that they're trying to protect you, keep you from harm's way, we're always grateful for that. So sometimes hard
Right.
times, challenges show up as just that, a negative or a bad thing, when in reality, spirit is trying to communicate something to us, ancestors are trying to communicate something to us, and we don't see. And so it shows up as something negative. Another way that I look at that is destiny. And destiny is written by God or the goddess, the supreme being, the supreme creators, and it's always in our best interest. But we can't control it any more than we can control the goddess, any more than we can control God.
That's true.
So if God sees Alpha and Omega, sees what's in our best interest, and we can't, then sometimes those actions show up for us as a negative, show up for us as a challenge. We want to go left, but destiny keeps pushing you to the right. You want to travel your normal path when you leave out your door, but it might be an accident there. It might be a traffic jam there. Spirit might be pushing you to the right and not to the left, and it's in our best interest. But we can't always see that. We can't always make sense of that. And so we as humans, and depending on where you are in your spirit journey, depending on where you are in your chakras, depending on where you are, in the 12 step, we interpret that sometimes as a negative. And so I'm often quick to think and position myself in the third person, to sort of stand back and look at myself, what's happening, the symptoms, the events that are happening that might be showing up in your question as this negative energy you can't shake. Because see, negative energy is just like the virus, invisible. You can't necessarily see it until it manifests as good or bad, as prosperity or as the block, if you will. Sometimes that locked in energy, shows up in your friends, in your children. It's mirrored back to you. So I always look at myself first. What am I doing? How am I operating? How am I positioning myself with God, with the goddess, with my ancestors, with my shrines? Before I immediately point to it's an outside force, it's a negative force, it's somebody doing me harm. Some people, and not you, caller, some people are obsessed with that. I have one client, godchildren, bless her heart. Everything is an attack. Everything, physically, mentally, emotionally, financially, everything is an attack. She equates everything as an outside force coming for her, as someone doing something to her, as someone working something on her. And she's never open to self. Where am I in this? What am I doing? What am I really being shown? What are they really trying to point my attention to? So she's one of my challenges, if you will. She's been with me for years. I'll never kick her to the curb. I'll never stop responding to her email. But sometimes I don't respond in the way that she would want me to, because she's looking for me to confirm that it's a demon, that it's a devil, that it's a witch, that it's a jinn, that it's something outside herself. So that's why I started my answer with clean your house, clean your space. Some of you, keep a lot of clutter. keep a lot of stuff in your house. Feng shui, not exactly the most African word or concept, but it applies. How we set up our shrines, how we set up our altars, how we organize our space allows for the free flow of energy, caller, or the blocking of that energy. So it can be in your space just as well as it can be in your body or in your spirit. Um, have I answered your question? Caller, are you still with me? Area code 510. I'm
Yes,
so,
I am.
yeah, I had
I'm
you.
here.
Yeah, I had you on mute. Did I answer your question? Did you have
Okay.
another comment?
Yeah, but I'm trying to figure out, is this an ancestral energy or is it me?
What are your symptoms? What is happening?
It's it's more of, I feel a push, a pull, and a tug a lot every day, all day.
And are you journaling that?
Yeah.
That's important because I'm going to ask you to look in your journal at what you're doing when that happens. What are you doing before that happens?
I'm like, I'll be at work or I'll be sitting down or I'll be cleaning. It's like at any given moment I'll feel a push, pull, or tug.
You have a shrine in your house for your ancestors?
No, I don't.
Okay. They want something from you. They're communicating something from you. And let me be clear, because listen, I heard your response. I also felt your response. So this is not about,
Yeah.
me teaching you voodoo or changing your religious belief or practice or causing you to do something in your space that might make others in your space uncomfortable. So your shrine doesn't
Okay.
have to look like a shrine, doesn't have to look like an altar,
Right.
but I need you to create a sacred space. It could be on your fire mantle. It could be on a table. It could be on a shelf that you set up on the wall in your house where you keep,
Okay.
obituaries, where you keep pictures of people, grandma, grandpa, parents, whoever who've gone on to the other side. Um, and again,
Okay.
you might not want it to look too voodoo. So keep it simple. Flowers in water. So there's your vessel of water.
Okay.
And put your flowers in it. If you are a Christian, put a cross there, but
Yeah, I am.
create a
Yeah.
space where you acknowledge them. This is not necromancy, beloved. This is not worshiping the dead.
Okay.
This is none of that. This is
Right.
you acknowledging what's already in your blood. Your ancestors, your
Okay.
family, they're already in your blood. And this has now been proven scientifically. So they affect what you favor, what you don't favor. They affect your taste, what you like, what you don't like. So setting up this sacred space is just acknowledging them. It's an outward, active way
Okay.
of saying, I acknowledge you. I
So
hear
they just
you.
want me to recognize that they are around me. That's
To
what it is.
recognize, to pay attention, and by all means, beloved, journal. They are speaking to you in your dreams. They're speaking to you in symbolism. They're speaking to you in messages that
Yeah.
sometimes don't make any sense in the moment. A quick example.
That's true.
Looking into the future don't make any sense because the future ain't here.
True.
The future is just our imagination until it actually happens. So you've got to write it
Yeah.
down. If you're not writing it down, then it's not going to make sense. And writing it down, as I said on yesterday's show, is also your proof. It's also your proof.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need that
Okay.
proof that Spirit said, and I knew it. Because listen, I'm reading you right now, empathically. You are the type of
Yeah, I'm
person.
hearing right.
You're the
I'm
type.
hearing them say right.
You're also the
Right,
type of
right,
person.
right.
You're also the type of person who frequently says, "I knew this was going to happen. I told you so.
Yes, I do.
I knew you were not
Yeah.
going to pay me back my money. I knew you were going to do thus and so." And that's a strong sign of people who are tapping spirit, who are not keeping a journal, and are writing that information down. Because once you start doing
Yeah.
that, you'll find that you'll say that less because your actions and your activities will be different. because you'll take your own
Okay.
premonitions that much more seriously. You'll take your own intuition
Okay.
that much journals. Even my mother keeps track of
Okay.
how spirit talks to her and communicates to her and comes through with her and in her. So I implore you to do that. God is speaking to you directly, as well as your ancestors,
Okay.
and writing it down is just a way of capturing that energy.
Okay.
And thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling in. I certainly appreciate people who are active in the discussion, who have questions, who have comments, who participate. You can also type your questions or comments in all capital letters in chat. Keon and I will be more than happy to sort of pull that out and separate it from the other general conversation, and then I'll answer it live for you here on air. I appreciate those who stuck with me during the show. Um, Apparently, we don't have a whole lot of buffering going on. I haven't had to restart the show. It's a blessing. All is a blessing. All is a blessing. Kayla asked a question. Give me a second, Kayla, to find it. Kayla asks, is it safe at this time to be around those that are not in the same spiritual space as you? Wow, that's a deep question. That's a deep question. Now, friends, associates, peers, even in some cases, co-workers, that's really easy to address for many today, March 26, 2020, because of separation, because of safe distancing. So it's easier right now to shut down those voices than normally. And I implore not just Kayla, but anyone under the sound of my voice, don't answer the phone if you don't have to. You don't have to answer the phone. Let them leave a message. Let it go to voicemail, particularly right now. I was busy. I was unavailable. You don't have to lie. You don't have to make up a reason. Just don't respond. Now, in terms of now, you got friends, family living with you, staying with you, hunkered down with you. Now, that's a little bit different, Caleb. That's a little bit different. I've heard and read and seen reports and had people report back to me, wives, husbands who are now sleeping in the spare bedroom because they've discovered with all of this at home downtime that they don't like each other that much, or they're not connecting with each other that much, or they're handling this differently. So you've got to create, beloved, sacred space wherever you are. And if you are hunkered down with family or with others, find a space outside, find a space in the yard, find an empty room in the house, go in the bathroom and lock the door, but find a way to find your sacred space. Find a way. Um, Play some soft music, play some nature music, say some mantras to yourself for 5 minutes, for 10 minutes, before you come out of that locked room, that that locked space. Many people are addressing that question, Kayla, right now from many different angles. Um, is it safe? Probably not. It's never safe to hear, to absorb, to take in what's negative. Now, people of a different spiritual space does not necessarily suggest negative, and it may very well be the way you questioned, you worded your question. Uh, but indeed, negative is not helpful right now. So the family member, the roommate that's in a constant state of fear, that's in a constant state of worry, that's in a constant state of panic, that's in a constant state of negative, that has to be limited. That has to be shut down. You have to isolate yourself to some degree from that, and particularly right now. We want to be as positive as we can. We want to be as creative as we can. We want to be as happy and healthy as we can, inward and outwardly, figuratively and literally right now. So protecting your space is really important right now. On many levels, protecting your space. So not only are we guarding against infection, against the virus, we're also guarding against those who would infect us with the negative thoughts, the negative ideas, the negative emotions. So if it's in your house, beloved, find a way to create a space. And if you have to go outside, walk down the block and back. If you're not in a big city, I know if you're in New York City or somewhere like that, it might be a little bit more complicated. But take a walk around your building, walk around your block. My block right now is silent. Rarely do my neighbors even come out right now. And rarely is it more than four of us out on the block at a time. Those locals who know what I'm talking about, you know what I mean when I say the block. Um, the park is on one end of my street, so that's sort of like a natural barrier. The park, the police, the military, the testing, and then there's the neighborhood at the other end of my block. And so within the confines of my block, things are pretty quiet. So I go out once, twice, three times a day, walk to the end of the block, come back, do a circle, and come back. Not coming in contact with cats, dogs, or people. But you have to move your body and move your spirit, Kayla, right now during a time like this. Um, Isolating doesn't necessarily mean being trapped. Being distancing doesn't necessarily mean being isolated. So how we interpret these words and then how we apply them in the most practical way is indeed important. I'm not going to push you to be more specific about your question, but if we're talking about what's going on in your house, in your space, then you've got to create sacred space. First, here. First, here. All is a blessing. I welcome you to use my mantra. Just say, all is a blessing. All is a blessing. All is a blessing, and breathe until you feel better. Until you feel better. And then try and encourage the source of this bad energy to be more positive, to think more positive. But if they cannot, will not, you have to limit your exposure. I find that one of my family, one of my closest friends of 30 years or more, dropped me on Facebook. I don't know why. I'm not exactly sure why. I will say that this family member, this friend, is negative most of the time, and I'm positive most of the time. So whether that became an irritant to my beloved, or they felt they couldn't reach me, um, readily available enough to absorb more of that toxic energy, I don't know. But sometimes you have to go quiet. Sometimes you have to be silent. Sometimes you have to pull away when people will not let go of the negative space, will not let go. And sometimes it's mental health. Sometimes they just refuse to have it looked at, have it addressed, get a third opinion, have their spiritual practitioner, their religious practitioner, their medical practitioner, look at the scenario. And so they bring that then back to people like you and I, Kayla, uh, in the hopes that we will just hear it, just absorb it. I know people who tweet like that. Every tweet is negative. Every tweet is a criticism. Every tweet is designed to motivate the negative response in you and from you and from those who are reading and observing. So sometimes you have to block. Sometimes you have to shut those people down. Sometimes you have to remove them from your energy. And then in terms of crystal, mineral, and stone, black obsidian is the black hole, is the truth stone, and can elevate that energy to a higher level with the assistance of amethyst. Amethyst is the sobriety stone. It can prevent people from getting drunk on their own foolishness, but it can also elevate the energy, and then the black obsidian will suck all light, all energy, all matter through it and force the truth to the surface. So the black obsidian will force you to see the truth about that relationship, that friendship, that partnership. It could force the person that you're referring to or the people that you're referring to see the truth, but it can also create arguments. Using black obsidian with you and your mate, you and your roommate, you and a group of people, and you're locked in, it could also encourage arguments because it'll bring the truth to the surface, and so people will start saying stuff and shady side eye stuff, and then if people are not willing to address it, then it can create an argument. And that's why I say you shouldn't be wearing obsidian from your fourth chakra or higher. You should not be wearing obsidian on a regular basis because it's going to force the truth to the surface 24 hours a day. And no human can exist in that. No human. No human. If we lived in that absolute truth, you know, beloved, you're not cute. That outfit is ugly. This food is nasty. Your breath stink. We will be existing in a world of absolute negative all the time. And the world is 50-50, negative and positive. It's yin and yang. So you gotta protect your space, and particularly now, Kayla, particularly at this time, where we have to be as happy and at our strongest to not only survive this, but then pick up again and move forward once we as a culture, as a society, are able to do so. I look at the map. I realize this reality hasn't kicked in everywhere yet. I realize this reality hasn't kicked in every country, in every state, in every location yet. What's going on in Mississippi is a little bit different than what's going on in Louisiana. And we are neighbors. We are brothers and sisters. We share a border. So we've got to take sacred space literally and figuratively more serious now more so than ever before. Now more so than ever before. So yes, beloved, protect your space. Protect your space. If you want to be more specific, you can. I'm not so sure you're talking about outside your house or within your house, but but I got you. Andrea, greetings, Andrea. Welcome for coming in. I don't know if you are a first-time viewer or first-time participant. I welcome you. I appreciate you for being present. Yes. Now you say hello. You ask for a free reading on whether you're going to get pregnant before you offer a greeting, before you offer peace and love. That's one of my pet peeves, by the way. Anyone under the sound of my voice, do not. Oh, I'm sorry, Andrea. I didn't see it because my chat keeps rolling up. My chat keeps rolling up. So forgive me, beloved. I'm going to answer your question. Just give me a moment, okay? Anyone under the sound of my voice who contacts me by way of Psychic World, we need to have a connection before I get into your reading. So I need you to say greetings and salutations. I need you to say hello. I need you to extend your energy going into the reading. So if you're contacting me on Psychic World, and Keon, if you will, put my Psychic World link to my direct page in the chat. I need you to say peace and blessings. I need you to say hello. I need you to connect with me so that I connect with your energy going into the reading. So I appreciate that. I see your greetings, Andrea. Please forgive me. Now, you will get pregnant this year with assistance, with some sort of assistance. And forgive me if I'm being personal. When I say assistance, I'm talking about medical. fertility doctor, your primary care doctor. And again, I don't want to get too personal live on air, live in chat with your question. And so you can email me privately if you would like to. So you have been. You need to continue that. That is a large part of you getting pregnant this year. So you will get pregnant this year. Continue to go. They will offer you something new. And this will happen in 90 days. This will happen in 90 days. And Spirit might be saying 90 days because we just can't move around a whole lot right now, depending on where you are, beloved. But something new is being asked. Something new is being offered, coming through your medical professionals. You should take that seriously. That plays a large role in the pregnancy, in you getting pregnant. But you will be pregnant this year, and it'll be later in the year. It'll be fall. It'll be within the fall. Greetings and salutations, beloved. And you sent me an email and told me exactly how to pronounce your name. Adjua, I think is what you said. Welcome, and thank you so much for being a part of the show, being a part of my YouTube live audience. Blog Talk Radio, I hope I'm not ignoring anyone. Kiona, if you have a question or a comment, all you got to do is unmute your mic. You're already in there. My listeners who are on the phone line, press number 1 if you have a question, comment, or request. I will unmute your mic and bring you into the conversation. I'm truly honored and grateful for each and every one of you present here in this moment in time space where we could be doing so many other things right now at this time, whatever the time is in your location, in your zip code. It is 1:36 in my time zone, U.S. Central Standard Time. So I'm grateful this March 26, 2020 for your being present here with us for Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. If you're in the chat, type your questions in all capital letters. This makes it easier for me to see them and receive them and respond to them. If you are on the phone lines, do press the number 1. I will be more than happy to open your mic and bring you into the conversation. I ask now for 1 minute and 30 seconds to drink me some water, to take a quick break, and then we will continue with more Revolutionary Hoodoo, New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Ashe. Give me 30 minutes, y'all. I'm sorry, not 30 minutes. 1 minute and 30 seconds, and I'll be right back. I will be forward. 1 minute, 30 seconds. 40 seconds, YouTube. 40 seconds. I'll be forward. Greetings, greetings, greetings. Thank you so much for allowing me that brief and momentary break. I had to drink a little water and see what was going on outside. But I'm here, I'm with you. I'm probably going to go another 15 or 20 minutes or so. So I invite you to call in now before my Blog Talk Radio phone line closes. My Blog Talk Radio phone line will probably close in about 5 minutes. They're going to prevent you from calling the number. So if you have a question, comment, or request, or wish to be on the phone line so that when the phone line closes at 2 o'clock and the Blog Talk Radio then goes into archive, you will already be on the phone. You'll already be on the phone lines, and you'll be able to hear and experience everything in real time. If you are not, and then you go back and listen to the show later, then you will hear it on Blog Talk Radio in archive. And my live listen-in and call-in number for Blog Talk Radio is area code 845-277-9143. 845-277-9143. Do press the number 1 on your telephone keypad. This will alert me that there's a caller in queue, and I'll be able to open your mic. You can also type your questions, comments, requests in all capital letters. In the chat, Kiona will put a big red question mark underneath it, which makes it easy for me to see, and I'll be more than happy to respond to your questions or comments in the chat. The question Ajwa is asking is, I am at a crossroads with my career. Do I see entrepreneurship in the near future? Entrepreneurship for Ajwa. I do. There's a complete and balanced yes response to that. So I would move that forward sooner rather than later. And now it's a great time to plan, to prepare, to organize, to do your administrative duties as it relates to self-employment. All of us who are self-employed, all of us who work for ourselves, all of us who earn an income and a living without punching a clock, without getting up and going to a job, also have administrative responsibilities. Tasha, you know what I'm talking about. You got to be your own secretary. You got to be your own delivery person. You have to be your own comptroller. You have to do your own janitorial and maintenance services. This is the time to take on your administrative responsibilities. And part of that is your paperwork, licensing, certificates, LLCs, trademarks, branding. All of those things are necessary. The bastardization and the coming for my name and my brand got to be out of control in Instagram. So much so that with the help of a friend from the UK, I had to get my stuff together. I had to get my LLCs and my copyrights and my legalities together. And I'm prepared to sue and come for anybody playing around with my name, playing around with my brand. But I say that to say, beloved, get your house in order now in terms of entrepreneurship. Get your paperwork together. All that grueling work that you would otherwise have to do at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning before, and to focus in on that and to make that happen so that by the time we do come out of this season, you'll already be in place and you'll already be positioned to move forward. I don't know what type of work you do now or how you earn and generate your income now, but the shell suggested now is the time, now is the season. In any questions that I respond to or answer here on the show have a 90-day shelf life in terms of getting a response from spirit. Beloved asked me earlier about pregnancy. She'll have a confirmation of my reading within 90 days. And so you too will have a response within 90 days, beloved, as it relates to entrepreneurship. I just pray, Ajwa, that you do the work. Do the work. And understand that entrepreneurship is not easy. It's not easier than being employed. It's not easier than having a job. It's just more fun. It should be because entrepreneurs typically do work that they love, do work that they feel connected to, do work that they feel they have some sense of control within, control over. So it's one of the best decisions that you can make. And many people don't make that shift from salary or employment or hourly waged work to entrepreneurship out of fear. I'm going to lose time. I'm going to lose money. What if this doesn't work out? Etc. So this season might be the best season in which to do that in. Many of you are home anyway. Many of you can't punch in anyway. Many of you can't travel anyway. So now, Ajua, might be the best time. The best time. And if you need help setting that up, we'll help you. We'll give you the information you need. We'll help you to find out what you need to do. I've shared my secrets with many people, even practitioners and psychic readers. I've allowed people into my accounts. I allowed people into my Keen account, into my Live Person account directly so that they could see what I was doing, what I was earning, how I was making it. Some of those people, unfortunately, only became frenemies later on and decided that it was too much for them to do or that they didn't need it. And so it is what it is. But I'm willing to share so that you aren't up all night researching and studying and looking for. I'm always willing to share that kind of information, that kind of knowledge to help self-employed entrepreneurship to move forward. Thank you so much for that question, for your donations and offerings, for your support. I certainly do appreciate you. Please type your questions in all capital letters. If you all know me, if you don't have questions, if you don't have comments, I get bored and I'm going to end this show and I'm going to move on. I don't do this to hear the sound of my voice. Area code 305. Your mic is open, so I can hear you.
Hi.
Hi, I can hear
Can you
you.
hear me? Hello.
Yes, I can hear
How
you.
you doing?
I can hear you, and I can hear your
Peace and
background,
blessings.
and I can hear your background noise.
Yes, peace and blessings.
All is a blessing.
Oh, sorry.
It's okay.
Okay. I was just wondering about my career. I've been doing it for 20 years now, and I've been trying to get a promotion to the next level, and I wanted to know how does that look in my future?
So your question is, how does it look? Not is it going to happen?
Yeah,
How
will
does,
I be promoted? Yeah, is it going to happen? It's
okay,
basically yes.
now will I be promoted is a specific question. And let me tell you what I'm doing. I'm using two different systems right now. I'm just not saying that out loud.
Okay.
I'm using the system
Okay.
that most appropriately matches your question. So you're asking several
Okay.
questions sort of together. So at first you said, my career, how does that look? Spirits have not responded to that yet. Then you said, before I had a chance to respond, yes, will it happen? And I threw Obiabata. And so the answer for that is yes, yes, plus something more detailed that I must say. So there's some interference there. The promotion will happen. You will get what you deserve. But there's some manipulation going on. And I get the sense that you know exactly what I'm talking about. You need to plug that hole. You need to plug that hole by being proactive, by marketing yourself, by speaking up for yourself, by presenting your skills, your aptitude, what you bring to the table for yourself. And I don't know what you do. I don't even know how that's set up there.
Right.
So you know clearly what I'm saying. Go over that person's head. Go over that department head if you have to. And make sure that you're seen at the top. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, it makes sense. It
Go
does.
to the owner. Go to management if you have to.
It makes sense. Okay.
Now how
Perfect.
how you asked first how your career looked. So let me answer that now.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm using Marin de Lagoon. Oh wow. Girlfriend, you are surrounded by haters. And I know
Yes.
that's a popular word that the young people like to use, but I'm serious.
No,
Bas-
but it's real. No,
yeah,
it's real. I know.
Oyeku is on the board.
It's real.
Oyeku is on the board.
It's real.
And anytime Oyeku falls
Yeah.
first alone by itself, it usually represents something that's problematic, something that's a complication.
Mm-hmm.
So they're out for you. And that's why Spirit,
Yeah.
I now understand why Spirit told me to tell you to go above their heads, to go outside your space, your department. Go to the top. Make sure the top sees you clearly for who you are, and you'll be fine.
Mm. Okay.
And you'll be fine. Now, give me a second
Okay.
to look at that again. I often throw a second time in this type of questioning for confirmation. Yeah, now you will not lose your job. Not that you were concerned. You won't quit this job. You're going to be there. Not even in the space of all this drama. According to the shells, I don't see you leaving. I don't see you quitting. I don't see you being forced out of there. But there's an evolution that takes place. And it may very well be attached to this promotion that you're seeking. But based on what's on the board, I have Ofun on the board. Um, you might
Mm-hmm.
end up like in the highest position. And I don't know
I
why.
believe.
I don't know why I'm seeing that. It's almost like you take over
Wow.
leadership in this place. So I'm going to ask you now,
Wow.
what do you do? Where do you work? And can you say that?
Currently, right now, yeah. Currently, right now, I'm a supervisor in
You
the department,
you broke up on me. You're a supervisor. You're a supervisor in.
and um, city, the jail,
Oh wow,
in the
beloved.
training area,
Okay, you broke up a little bit. I need you to say that again.
in the training area. I'm a supervisor in the.
Something is
Can you?
prevent. No, I can hear everything except I hear
I
area. I hear everything except where.
training. I say I'm a.
Oh wow. We're breaking up, beloved. So I don't know if that's spirit, and it's just not meant for you to
Can you
say.
hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
Well, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. I said I'm a supervisor for our training bureau in a jail.
Oh, okay.
Correction.
I got you. Corrections. What I'm seeing on the
Yeah.
board looks like, and listen, beloved, this is gonna sound crazy. That's why I keep hesitating. This looks like you become
Mm-hmm.
the warden.
Wow.
This looks like you go to the top,
Wow.
you follow my advice, you go to the top, they see you, they understand who you are, and you end up somehow running this place. So I don't know if your warden,
Wow.
I don't know if the present warden is going to be exposed to the virus or is going to make some kind of move or career
Mm-hmm.
move because of what's happening right now. But when I look on the board,
Okay.
you take over control of this place.
Wow.
So not only
That's
do you get the
amazing.
promotion, not only do you get the promotion, you eventually become the head honcho. You eventually become the person
Wow.
who's in
That
leadership position.
Wow, that's deep.
And you may already know that we're seeing this happen all across the country. Many women are becoming the head
Mm-hmm.
person in the
Mm-hmm.
judicial system,
Correct.
in the correctional system, in some of
Right.
these jails, which has typically been
Right.
sort of a male dominated environment. Women are now stepping up, not just as COs and guards, but to take leadership
Yes.
roles in the
You're
administration.
absolutely right.
So I see that for you.
That
I
is
do.
true.
I do.
Awesome.
Yeah, they
Wow.
hate you. They
That's
hate you.
awesome.
Yeah, they hate you. They don't like you. They feel some kind of way.
Yes.
You're doing your
Mm.
job, and you're doing it to the best of
Yes.
your ability.
That's the hardest thing that I deal with. Like, why?
Was that a matter of a statement, or did you want me to respond to that? Why people hate?
No, it's just yeah, because it's like it's ongoing. Like, and it's not, it was just me saying why. I just don't understand why.
I find not only in my own life, in my past life when I worked a job, but also in the lives of my clients, I find that there's a whole nother reality that takes place in the workplace, particularly if you work in a hospital, a
Mhm.
jail, an office
Mhm.
building. It's like
Mhm.
General
Mhm.
Hospital.
Mhm.
It's like a TV syndicated docudrama. There's this
Mhm.
undercurrent of drama,
Mhm.
feelings, and gossip, and rumors, and
Yes.
backstabbing that goes on in those environments. And then in an environment like you work in, where there are titles and there are positions that people can sort of grow
Yes.
to, evolve to,
Yes.
that also increases that cattiness. Your competitor might
Mm.
not be directly involved in the cattiness, but your competitor's friend might be. Your competitor's associate
Mm.
might be. And so the associate lays traps, stirs up mess,
Mhm.
creates rumors,
Mhm.
to create a diversion, so that you step
Mhm.
outside your square, so that you get caught up in your emotions. So I strongly advise you not to be in your
Right.
feelings, not to get in your emotions. Obatala
Okay.
stands up strongly in this divination. Obatala governs the head,
Yes.
governs the consciousness, how you think, how you process things,
Okay.
even your third eye, how you view and see things. So see the negativity as an outward sign of progress. Smile when you hear it.
Okay.
Smile when you see it.
Okay.
Get to a place that you can laugh about it, because it's an outward
Okay.
manifestation of how well you're doing at a deeper level.
Mm.
And so people are worked up about it.
Mhm.
They feel that. They can see
Mm.
that. They can see your promotion coming. They can see your elevation coming, and they're responding to that. And I personally have had to do that. I'm giving
Mm.
you advice that I do. So when the haters show up, I got one particular hater that thumbs down almost every show that I do. One particular hater.
Mhm.
And many of you are YouTube savvy. So YouTube does not have the means for you to see who these people are, right? I got my own
Right.
means.
Right.
I got my own means. I devised my own little
Mhm.
way of figuring out who this person is.
Mm.
And they do it just because
Okay.
they can. That's it. Just because they can.
Wow.
Just because I'm
Wow.
here.
Wow.
Just because you all show up for me every day. So many of you work in
Yeah.
offices, government facilities,
Yeah.
corporations, where there's this level of backbiting and gossip and
Yeah.
competition. My hat's off to
Big
you.
time.
Yeah. So just learn, train yourself, program yourself to see it as an outward sign that you're handling your business.
Okay.
You
I
know,
received that.
it's like parenting. Your kids don't like you all the time. And sometimes you got to tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to administer discipline, and they respond to that, in the
Mm-hmm.
moment.
90 seconds.
I'm about to lose my phone if you are not on the phone already. If you're already on the phone, you will not be disconnected, and the call will roll over into archive. So we'll be able to finish our conversation, beloved. I'm speaking to my
Okay, peace
listeners
and blessings.
and my viewers. But yeah,
Thank
learn to
you.
look at it as an outward sign that you're handling your business and you're doing the right
60
thing.
seconds.
See, that becomes a problem only when you know you're not handling your business. Now, if you're not doing your
Right.
job, then the gossip, the rumors, the backbiting, that can be really problematic.
Yeah.
So let them talk.
Right. Right.
Let them talk.
Okay.
I know there's a hierarchy. I knew that even before you said out loud where you worked, because
Yeah, it is.
it was implied in my answer. Go over your
Okay.
department heads if you have to. Go to the top if you have
Okay.
to. Send an anonymous letter if you have to. But go beyond
Okay.
that immediate circle, and you'll get a positive result from doing that.
I received that. Okay. 10 seconds.
I invite my other
I appreciate
listeners
that.
who are already on the phone lines to press the number one if you too have a question, comment, or request, and I'll be more than happy to respond
Thank
to
you.
you. Beloved, if you,
Thank you so much.
yes, I'm here for you. You can send me a private email if you need further help, further assistance with that, and I'll be more than happy to respond to you.
Question about that. So if I send you a private email, you'll respond back to me via email and we'll be able to communicate from there?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm new to the
Yes,
channel.
absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you for your call.
Okay. I'll do that. And
All right.
thank you so much. You have a
Yes.
blessed day.
You too. Peace and blessings. Mickey Michelle, Michelle's World. Um, Give me a second. I need to mute my caller so that I don't get 305's background noise. Let's see. Okay, let me find my YouTube chat. Okay. Mickey Michelle's World ask, what's the reason for my daughter, she's 17, to have grown a strong hatred towards me? Has someone hexed our relationship? Now, thank you, Mickey Michelle, for being present, for being here. Your name is not familiar to me, so I'm going to assume that you are new, maybe a first time caller, maybe a first time listener, and I most certainly appreciate that. Just before you asked your question, maybe an hour ago in the show, we talked about hexing and negative energy and negative space and how sometimes we have a propensity to immediately go to the hex as being the reason, someone interfering as being the reason. Also implied in your question is the ideal, you didn't say it, but it's implied that maybe the father, the father's family, other members could be influencing her opinion about you and about the relationship. As I look at the shells, however, this is typical. This is typical youthful teenage stuff. This is your child having a strong will, having a strong personality, standing up in leadership as it relates to the reading. This is also something, beloved, that the reading suggests runs in lineage form. And what I mean by that is what we have on the table is Obara. I'm sorry, forgive me. What we have on the table is Obara, which is about leadership, which is about ownership, which is about responsibility, which is about being the head, which is about taking ownership, if you will, for your own life, your own responsibility. But the second part of that throw is Eros Sun. And Eros Sun in Yoruba literally translates into menstrual blood. So I would also be careful, be cautious, be aware of your child's sexual behavior. Um, and I'm not trying to scare you. I'm really not. I'm responding directly to what's on the board. Um, be sure she's not pregnant or trying to get pregnant or operating in activities that would lead to that. Now, I know if you already have a challenging relationship, you trying to sort of intercede and interfere would be a bit of a challenge. I get that. And when I look at how the shells have manifested on the table, three of the shells are lying flat on the table in their most appropriate position. But that fourth one is still lying flat and up, but it has somehow attached itself to the wall of my basket. So it is in a transitory position. So I don't believe it's a hex. I don't believe it's a curse. I believe it's an outside influence, however, particularly in the area when I look at love and relationships. And I know that's how do you even consider love and relationships at 17? But that's where I'm seeing the energy, Mickey, show up in the reading the most. Your child is absolutely being influenced by friends, by peers, by pop culture, even to some degree. She shows up headstrong on the table, but I don't see hexing. I don't see hexing, and particularly in this type of reading. Now, the type of reading that I would look really at hexes, curses, is a completely different reading, and I would advise you, implore you to email me at DivinePrince at houseofthedivineprince.com. And let's look at that more specifically, but I'm not seeing that. I'm not seeing that. What I'm seeing on the board is typical for teenagers. What I'm seeing is typical. And now I don't mean all teenagers. All of us didn't act out at 17. All of us didn't act negatively, aggressively uh, towards our parents or our guardians. But some of us did. Some of us were a little bit strong-willed. Some of us thought we was grown. Some of us pushed the envelope, and that's what I see here, beloved. And there are ways to address that. There are ways to work with that in terms of voodoo, fa, ifa, etc., and rebuild and repair that relationship and fix the communication that's happening there. But I'm not seeing hexing. I'm not, and the interference that I'm seeing is coming from within her peer group. It's coming from within her peer group. Thank you for your question. Thank you for being present. I certainly do appreciate you. Anyone in the live YouTube chat, question, comment, request, type it in all capital letters. I'll be more than happy to respond. My callers, 323 Kiona, and my other caller, area code 305. I don't recall your name, 305, but your mics are still open. So if you have a question, all you have to do is unmute yourself and come on back in with your question and or comment. I welcome your comments as well. I appreciate you all for spending 2 hours and 7 minutes here with the Divine Prince and revolutionary Hoodoo New Orleans Voodoo Secrets and Recipes on both blog talk radio platform and my live YouTube live platform. I'm grateful for the lack of buffering that's going on right now. So I don't know if YouTube has finally heard me or if, people are not online right now, which I can't imagine that people would be sitting at home now and not being online. But I am grateful not to have all the interference and not to have to restart the show and all that kind of stuff. Of course, the Blog Talk Radio is always consistent from beginning to end. So even if you enjoy me online and you enjoy the YouTube, I implore you to continue to do that, but to mute your YouTube and also call me from time to time and ask your questions, comments, and requests here in these platforms. Mickey Michelle, you've had a reading from me before. Thank you so much. I hope you left public comment and rating about my readings in both my Google Business, my Fash, and my Alignable. I probably sent you a follow up email after the reading asking you to do that. So I appreciate you. And if I didn't, I can send it to you now and ask that you transfer your positive comments about the reading to those locations so that they can be shared with other people. I told you that
This show is, oh, this is so amazing.
yes, beloved, yes, I can hear you. Come on in.
Every day, every day, every day, every day, I look forward to this show. This is Kiana. But today, when I tell you, you have gotten out the way and let spirit move. When I tell you, you have done your thing as you always do. But today, you have truly, truly let go of some. I'm telling you, thank you so much because lives have been changed today.
I appreciate that. Give thanks.
Lives have been changed today.
I
She
appreciate
needed
that.
to know about her baby. She
Yes,
needed to know what was going on with her baby. And
yes.
you have just helped two generations in less than 3 minutes. Ashe, thank you.
Asheo, give thanks. And I appreciate you. I really do. Thank you so much for that. Mickey Michelle, I hope I've been able to respond to you. Yes, send me an email. I do keep a file, so I should be able to locate our previous reading and conversation from before. But email me. I'll be glad to respond to you and help you continue to move things forward. And as always, I appreciate you, Kiona, for being the moderator and helping me in the live chat, and also helping me to sort of keep things moving forward and keep the show moving forward. Am I missing any
Always.
questions, beloved?
No, you have addressed everything. Everything has been addressed. Ajua, she's going to be in contact with one of us to help her get set up. Um, Mickey Michelle World says she's going to be in contact with you. And
Okay.
she also gave a testimonial because you gave her first reading, so she's back again.
Yes, and I would appreciate if she would, like I said, leave her public comments and ratings on my Fash account, on my Google Business account, and many of you are already familiar with and active in Alignable. And this is something that I typically send as a follow up at the end of every reading. So my Fash account is Fash, F like Frank, ASH.com / providers with an S, 41, capital letter R, 161, capital letter A, 6, lowercase w, / review. You can also visit me at Hoodoo Central in Google Business. So you can Google Hoodoo Central, or you can go to hoodoo central dot business dot site, and that will also take you to my public comments and ratings. And you can visit me at alignable.com / new Orleans LA / house of the divine Prince. And I invite you and implore you to only utilize these services if you've actually used my services. If you've had a comment and a rating, I'm sorry, if you had a reading, a divination with me, please
Oh, and
leave.
Kayla had a question.
Okay, let me
I
look.
forgot. Kayla had a question. I'm sorry. Kayla had a question.
Can you read it
But
for me?
YouTube won't let her type in all capital letters.
Can you read it out for me?
Sure. Hold on just 1 minute. Let me go back to it. She says that she's been hesitant to do any spiritual work
towards her partner's coming up court case, and she wants to know, should she intervene on his behalf or let it be as it may?
Now, beloved, when you say partner, you talking about your lover, your spouse, etc. Um, if you are qualified, qualified, truly initiated, truly trained to do that kind of work, then do that work. But if your spirit is telling you not to do it, I wouldn't do it. And your spirit may be suggesting that someone more qualified needs to do that work. So I'll do the work. Just email me. But if your spirit is telling you not to do it, you probably shouldn't do it. And so it's either saying that you aren't qualified to do this kind of work. Spirit might be suggesting that you're too close to the source to do this work. Spirit may also be speaking in terms of what you may or may not know as it relates to your partner in this case. And of course, I'm hesitating now. I hesitate when I'm trying to be diplomatic. This could be about how truthful your partner has been about the case. This could be speaking to what your partner has indeed shared with you truthfully about the case. I would look at every aspect of that in terms of making sense about why spirit would be motivating you not to get involved in this particular case at this time. So I would listen. I would listen. I did put my Fash link in the chat. I did put my Hoodoo Central link in the chat. And I did put my Alignable link in the chat. So if you have used my services, please feel free to leave me a comment and a rating. If you have something positive to say, please do utilize my comments and my ratings. I certainly appreciate that. Yes, Andrea, please type your question. I'll be more than happy to respond. Type your question. And I invite anyone in the live YouTube chat to type your question in capitals so that both myself and Kiona can see it. Oh, and Kiona, while it's on my mind, we need to talk. I need to schedule an appointment like Saturday where we can talk. I got some things, some business things I want to discuss with you that you will be pleased with. Okay,
I'll make myself available for you.
I'd appreciate that. Andrea, where's your question? We're not seeing your question, so I don't know if there's a delay. Just type it. Don't worry about capitals. Kayla suggested there's a problem right now, maybe with you typing in capital letters. So, so that we don't have a lot of empty space, Andrea, just go ahead and type your question, please, so that we can see it and respond to it. While you're doing that, I want to remind everybody the powers of the day. Iron, foundation building, herbs, roots, plants, crop growth. The powers, the spirits of the day. Orisha Oko, Ogun, and of course the divine hunter, Ochosi, whose arrows always hit their target. These are the powers of the day. These are the Orisha that we feed today in our endeavors. Andrea, I'm not seeing your question, beloved. Let me refresh my page, Kiona, because it could be me. I know if you could see it, you would have said something. So I don't know what's going on right now. Andrea,
but just came up. She just typed it.
Okay.
She just typed it.
And I just refreshed my page. So it's going to take a second here before I can see it. Let me see if I can see it on my phone.
So she says she has a question regarding her ex being punished for hurting her family physically. And she's wondering if the criminal justice system will let him off.
Okay. That's a great question. Let me look at that. Now, you aren't trying to help him to get off. Let me be sure I'm understanding what you're asking. Let me be sure I'm understanding what you're asking. You do not want him to get off, correct?
Oh, I apologize. I misread her. She said that her ex hurt her family physically, and the criminal justice system let him off.
So, okay, so what is your question, Andrea? I think you're asking, is there, I'm not understanding. Your your question, your grammar. Okay, you want him punished. Okay, now that's a great question. That is doable. That is doable, with or without the judicial system. Now, Ogu governs the judicial system. Ogu governs police. So Ogu can call the police. Ogu can block the police. Ogu can get involved in justice and block justice, or can open the way for justice. Um, he absolutely can, retribution can be applied. Retribution can be applied, even without the judicial system's involvement. I implore you, Andrea, to send me a private email so we can look at this in detail more specifically. Because I don't expect you to type all that information here. I would like to know what happened, how and why he got off in the first place. Is this because you didn't show up in court or the family refused to participate? Sometimes that happens. The family won't show up, they won't get involved, and so the charges get dismissed. That can be fixed, that can be repaired, that can be changed. I have a reputation for this type of work, both that which has been done to me, the affront to me, but also the affront to others. Justice absolutely can be had in this scenario, but I need some more information because, okay, I'm seeing your family refused. And if your family is not in a righteous position, they can also be harmed in the process. And that's why ritual work has to accompany appropriate divination. The viability of work, who could be harmed in the work, what repercussions can be produced in the work. It's almost like a prescription does all these great, magical, wonderful things, but then has this whole series of precautions, of warnings attached to it. And there is karmic repercussions. So I need more private detail off air about your family's involvement in this. Retribution can actually be applied. It could be tricky depending on the details of your story, to get him without getting the family that assisted him. If their fear is based in him harming him doing some kind of retribution to them, we can use that. I can use that to my advantage and protect the family and then direct that energy, Andrea, to its correct and most appropriate target. So by all means, you need to have a ritual work divination done. It's the same divination system that I use for work, for people initiating with me, for people trying to discern, decipher, diagnose work, witchcraft, dark magic, negative stuff. That's the divination system that we need to utilize to look into this more specifically, and particularly your family's involvement. Now, they're scared is very clear to me. So that tells me that they don't support him, that they aren't sort of fostering up, his security, but they're just fearful of taking action. And that energy can be used in the work to block, stop, and create a karmic repercussion sooner rather than later, because you want to see a response. You want it to happen in a time frame in which you can see and understand. That I get. So contact me, beloved. Send me your email. I'll be more than happy to respond to you. I thank you all for your questions, your comments, your requests. I'm probably going to end the show in about 5 minutes. Those who are on the phone lines with me will probably remain on the phone for about 15 minutes or until I stop, playing music. Typically, when I end the live broadcast and my Blog Talk Radio is still streaming, I play my Voodoo music and I play my Hoodoo music and I play my, my root work music. And so, if you're not on the phone, if you've never been on the phone, you're missing it. You're missing it. I typically play music before the show starts and then after the show starts. So I appreciate you. I appreciate you, Kiona, for being present. I look forward to all of your comments, your requests. Um, all is truly indeed a blessing. I look forward to being present for you, for assisting you, for helping you to move beyond this present moment in time space. All is truly indeed a blessing, divine love, divine peace, divine understanding. And of course, by all means, be safe. Be safe, be clean, be happy, be practical. Yes, all is a blessing. Come on now. My browser then froze up on me. But I ask you all to be well, to take care of yourself, to take care of your family, to look out for each other, to look out for your neighbors, to look out for your elderly, to look out for those who are 50 and above in your family, but also to check in on the young, especially the young who are being foolish, who are putting themselves at risk, who are still moving about. Be careful. Practice physical distancing, not social distancing. Be neighborly, but from a distance. Be hopeful, be creative, be calm, be kind, be well. Be safe, be happy, be patient. By all means, be love. Be love. Be careful, be proactive, be available to your family, to your friends, to your neighbors, to those who are in need. Be peace and stay home. And by all means, whatever you do, respect the voodoo. Whatever you do, respect the voodoo. All is truly and indeed a blessing. Thank you so much for another great show.